Okay, so great question, and thank you for. If you have any questions whatsoever, please ask. I love questions. It can be simple as I'm thinking about upgrading. Which phone should I get, A or B? I love those because we can break it down. We can help you make the best decision possible, right? So here's a fantastic question. Do you think Samsung or Motorola makes the best flip phones? Now, I'm going to be biased. I think you already know what my answer is, but I'm going to give you why. But before I answer this question, I'm still trying to figure that out, to be honest with you. To give you a completely honest answer, I have no idea. I'm still trying to figure that out. They're asking me, what's the meaning of life? I wish I knew. Yeah, I may not ever. Knock on wood. I may not ever find that out. So if you figure it out, you let me know, please. Now, getting back to Motorola or Samsung. So here's the deal. And I can't give you an honest answer, but I'll give you my answer. So I've never owned a Motorola flip phone, minus the flip phones from, 2000 and the early days, the Motorola StarTACs. Y'all remember those? If you're in your 40s or late 30s, you might remember those. I've never had a Motorola Razr. Now, the hardware I think is good, but there's one glaring issue, and I think most of y'all know that already. Motorola does not update their phones. Now, with the Razr Fold, they do. And the Razr Fold is going to be in contention, which we're going to talk a little later in the show. The Motorola Razr Fold is in contention, or is at least a device. If you're thinking about getting one of these foldables, it's going to be one of the phones you're going to have to consider because it has some very compelling specs on the Motorola Razr Fold. But if you're talking about a flip phone, let's do flip and then we'll do fold. So flips, I'm going to go with Samsung because one glaring issue, Motorola does not update the flip phones. Now, they're legally they do, but they're at the very bottom, at the very bare minimum of updates. Meaning, yeah, you're gonna get 3 or 4 years of Android software updates, meaning going from 14 to 15, 15 to 16, 16 to 17, and they issue one security patch every. Well, they get you to the latest security patch once every 4 months, I think. And they're not always updating you to Android. What are we on? Android 17 now? They're not always updating you right on like the Motorola flip phones right now might not get Android 17 for another year or two. I mean, it's laughable. So I don't even I wish I could, and that's my big gripe with Motorola. If they just how hard is it to push monthly updates? Come on. If they did that, I would honestly, I would go out and buy one and see what the whole experience is about with these Motorola Razrs. I would. Camera performance, I don't know. I've never used one. In fact, I don't know anybody that has one. And every now and then I'll see a publication post a review about these not Razr Folds, but the flip phones. What do they call them? Razr Ultras. I've never paid them any attention because they don't update them. So I'm automatically going to go to the flip with Samsung. But here's the big question, and you might be debating this in your mind right now is, should I get the Razr Fold or should I get the Fold 8 Ultra? That's a real thing. Or should you get the Fold 8 and or Motorola Razr Fold? Because the specs now are probably closer than ever, although I still think the Motorola Razr Fold beats both the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8 and Z Fold 8 Ultra. Has more, I think it's cheaper, has more RAM. You can get the 512 gig model for cheaper. Has a bigger battery. I think it has a better screen. Now, the only real win that Samsung has is they do have the Elite variant of that CPU, right? The Motorola Razr Fold and Signature have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 5. Samsung's got the Elite model. And then the other glaring win, I don't want to say win because it is debatable, but One UI, very refined, very, very refined. So it's kind of like, which way do you want to go? Now, I think both get updated for 7 years, so that's a real debate. You could probably find a Razr Fold at let's say decent price, but you get the point. That's a real, and you're only going to be, now, okay, if I had to pick one, it depends, because if I have to choose between the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8 Ultra and the Motorola Razr Fold, I'm choosing the Razr Fold. Now, if you give me the choice of the wide body, the Z Fold 8, and the Motorola Razr Fold, I'm going to go with the wide. I'm going to go with the Z Fold 8. I think that suits me better. I've never been a foldable fan, so I think, it's just purely what you like. You know what I'm saying? You have the Razr, and you have 2025 upgraded from the 2023 Razr Plus. Well, maybe you'd be the perfect person to ask, how often does Motorola update that Razr? And what version of Android are you on? Is it still on 15? Hopefully you're at least on 16. I think they're on 16 by now. And then do you get a monthly security update once every two, 3 or 4 months? Look, I would actually really, I've come close to buying one, but just, haven't. But from what I've seen, people that use them, that have them, love them. So I wouldn't have any issues using them. In fact, I think I would probably like it, to be honest with you. Camera is pretty good on that. They update them, but it's a 6 to 8 months after everyone else. Interesting. Now that the Samsung Flip has the Snapdragon chip, I'd probably go with the Samsung Flip Plus One UI. Yeah, it might have a slight edge. Well, of course, the updates, that's a huge thing. But again, hello, is anybody at Motorola listening? Knock, 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 knock. If you updated your Razrs, and look, they should update every phone that they offer monthly, but at the very least, at least give us updates monthly on the Razrs, or at least the mid-range. Look, I may be asking too much of Motorola to update even the budget phones. The ones that are, what's the G stylist? The ones that are $200-300 brand new. I can see them. I'm still not giving them a pass because they still should do that. It runs the same software as all the other ones, right? How hard is that? But at least, come on, Motorola. Come on. You got to update your phones. It would open up a whole nother avenue of users like myself that would take you, that would actually be like, oh, okay, well, let me consider this, all right? Or like I was going to do a few months ago. Let me just buy one and see what this is all about. But I passed because of the updates. Like, hello. It's on Android 16 right now. The Razr from 2025. Nice. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, hello. I wouldn't have even gotten the signature if they didn't update monthly. I don't know who's calling the shots at Motorola, but they need to be fired, or they need to drastically change their strategy, quite honestly. But let's roll into the Samsung Galaxy devices. So Samsung today at the Unpacked event officially launched the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 8, the Z Fold 8, and Z Fold 8 Ultra. Now, what was the big surprise today? Because it seems like we knew all the specs rolling into these things, right? Like, what's next? The Google Pixel. We already know what's coming, right, with the Pixel. Big surprise today was the introduction of silicon carbon batteries. And yes, I know, I was wrong. I was wrong, right? I'm only human. I was wrong. I think I said yesterday that Samsung wasn't going to adopt silicon carbon or their version of silicon carbon until, what did I say, a year from now, something like that. I was wrong. Now, let me go into why I think they did choose to adopt it. And I've said all along, and this is the truth as far as why they haven't really widely adopted these batteries, is because there's just not enough to go around silicon carbon. Now, I see why they did it on the foldables, because they don't sell that many, right? So yeah, these specific models of foldables, they can, they can source enough silicon carbon to make batteries for, what were their projections the other day? I think it was 2 million for one, 2.5 for the other, and 1.5 for the third model. So you're looking at less than 10 million devices they think that they're going to sell. They can source that. But when you're talking about their most popular line, the Galaxy S series, where they sell, I don't know, 20, 30 million of them per year combined, that's probably pushing it. And that's why they're trying to, in their R&D department, make their own silicon carbon, which they're close to doing. But it makes me wonder, I was shocked at seeing them adopt that, but it makes me wonder, I'm kind of excited, because are we going to see, does that mean we're going to see silicon carbon batteries in the S27 series? Now, what if they don't put the silicon carbon in the S27 or S27 Plus, but only put that in the Pro and the Ultra? I'd be okay with that. They're more expensive, right? So I was glad to be wrong on that. Everything else we pretty much knew, right? As far as the specs. Now, you've seen pictures, the colors, it seems that they just have one Samsung exclusive color, which is the pistachio. It's like a mint color. It's like a mint green, kind of like a real light green. And then you have the white, the black, and pink, I think, on some models, or like a purple with some other models. Now, one of the other things that shocked me was there was no free storage upgrade, which made them even more expensive, because the prices you see of, what is it, $12.99, those base prices that you see, that's just for 256 gig. And if you're like me, or maybe you're not, but trust me, that 256 gigs of storage is going to go quick. It's going to go quick. Maybe not in a month or two, but within that 1 year span where you might be ready to upgrade. And I know not everybody upgrades every year, but if you're going to hold on to it for 2 years, potentially 3 years, you're going to need more than 256 gigs of storage. You're going to need at least probably the 512 is a sweet spot. But Samsung raises the prices like $400 for that increase in storage. So it just makes them exponentially more expensive and more insane to potentially purchase.